Hello, thank you for listening to my story. My name is Karen Hogan. I am a professor at a major university in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have a PhD in finance, and um, I want to tell you my story. It's pretty incredible. I met the people at V.A.S.T who are now what I would consider some of my closest friends. After I had a severe and devastating reaction to an antibiotic that I used for a sinus infection. The antibiotic left me with severe mitochondrial dysfunction, severe immune issues, um, beyond anything that you can imagine. Fortunately for me, I found Lauren and Greg in time. We were able to use the software to bring me back to health. First of all, through detoxing the chemicals in question that were still in tissue in my body. Secondly, by also being very supportive in terms of an immune reconstitution effect. And over the last 13 years, since my terrible reaction, with helping me to beat infections that most people would not be able to get through. One example that I can point to that was actually vilified by my own healthcare practitioner happened about a year after I met the people at V.A.S.T, and they started to help bring my immune system back online. When I started to have my immune system really reconstitute, I exhibit a lot of the same symptoms that an AIDS patient would. And one of them was an overactive immune response and picking up for issues that were actually in your body when you were almost too immune suppressed to be able to handle. And the one in particular was shingles. It's very common for AIDS patients to get shingles when their immune systems are reconstituted. And although I was not an AIDS patient, I was very AIDS-like, and my situation was really not that much different. I woke up one morning and I was feeling awful, more awful than I normally would have at that point in time. So I, of course, having had very little help from the traditional medical system for a condition that is very poorly understood in adults, let alone understood even as little in children, I ended up calling my healthcare practitioner through V.A.S.T. And she had me send in a video sample, and that sample, as she called me back, told her through my video that my voice was resonating the herpes zoster virus, and that I needed to go to my doctor and tell my doctor that I had shingles and that I would need immediately to be put on an antiviral to help mitigate the symptoms. That I would be using the sound program as well, but that I would also probably be helped by an antiviral in the process. So I went to my healthcare provider, and as dutiful as I was, although I was showing no outward symptoms of being ill from a shingles, I had no rashes, I had no fever, I just didn't feel well. So I went to them and told them that I had shingles, that my healthcare practitioner from my energy medicine had told me that, and I was told by my self proclaimed meat and potatoes doctor that I probably had a psychosomatic disorder, but I certainly did not have shingles. And I needed to go home and rest or to fill the prescription for Prozac that they had given me back then. So I went home and I rested because I knew I wasn't depressed, I was sick. And woke up the next morning, and the rash that's very characteristic of shingles had then come out all over my torso. Around, I was in severe pain, and by that time, yes, I did even have a fever. So I went back to my healthcare practitioner, my normal doctor, and I brought the information that Lauren had sent me and copies of the program that showed where my voice was resonating. And he took one look at me and said, "Oh my gosh, you actually do have shingles," and immediately put me on an antiviral. And with the antiviral and with the help of the sound, using the sound waves for the multiple different versions of zoster that the body can manifest, I was able to shorten and eliminate the shingles from my body. And I've had no ill repercussions at all from the use of any of it. Subsequently, there are thousands of other examples that I have, and literally, I'm not joking when I say thousands of other examples that I have used these sound waves for helping not only myself, my family members who also are amazed when using it. In fact, my husband, who was always somewhat of a naysayer, um, emailed me not too long ago when the entire corona situation was started going on. He was on a train to New York City and he was feeling awful. And he wanted me to send him something because he was not used to feeling quite so awful. So in a Google Drive, I put up all of the sound waves for the various flus that had been running around this year, namely influenza B1 and swine flu, which were the two big ones. And I also put coronavirus on there. He listened to it very uncharacteristically, which tells me he was extremely desperate and knew he was going to get very sick. I happened to be out of town at the time, and by the next day, he emailed me in amazement saying, "I cannot believe how well I feel, given how incredibly awful I felt yesterday." And my husband never gets sick. I characteristically get sick a lot. And fortunately for me, because I'm very sensitive to antibiotics of any kind, pretty much most of them give me severe reactions. The sound is something I can use without fail that never disappoints. Thank you very much.